being here with us. And I also am saying hi to the chat line. We're going to be taking any questions. If anybody wants to give us a call in the second hour, that number is 347-688-2902. There have been some interesting comments going on here in the chat. Which I thought was kind of interesting. Some comments on when I mentioned mullet haircuts. Someone mentioned something about the mushroom haircuts. But it said every person in this nation should take a stand with two things this year: don't pay income tax or sign up for National Health Care Act. And with me, I've got in our virtual studio. There is Jesse Spomberg from Fight Church TV, and also Dino Dad 32. What do you think about not paying any taxes or signing up for the Obama Health Care Act? Do you think that is how do you guys feel about that?
I'll let Dino go first.
Oh, that's okay. You go first.
Okay. I 100% support not paying taxes if you can get away with it. It's not easy for everybody to get away with. Some people are pretty entrenched in the matrix, so it's not for everybody, and I'm absolutely not recommending it to anybody. So President Bush, don't come looking for me. But I don't pay taxes. I don't make money, so I don't pay taxes. But I think that, like, if you were to pay taxes, it would be better for you just to donate money to some charity and then get tax write-offs instead of giving your tax money to a corrupt government, which is controlled by lobbyists, which will misappropriate your funds. I mean, there's nothing worse than giving money to somebody that's going to misuse it. So there's a ton of awesome charities out there. So if you itemize your taxes, then you can still pay taxes without paying taxes, and you can kind of be in control of where that money goes, and that's what I recommend everybody to do. Secondly, go get Obamacare, or go get Oregon Health Plan. Like, why would you? Maybe I'm missing something, but go sign up, man. Do you know how many people have been living forever with no health care? How many people have weird lumps and weird bumps and have a teeth that needs to be pulled? Sorry, I used the wrong plural. Teeth. You guys have a teeth.
I have one teeth. That's all.
Right, yeah. Go get healthcare. For God's sakes. I think only 1 in 7 Americans are getting healthcare right now. And I was actually going to start like a workshop where we just helped people sign up for healthcare, because I think if you make less than like $45,000 a year, you're eligible for absolutely 100% free healthcare. If you get food stamps, you are 100% eligible for free healthcare. And there's no reason. I mean, this all might fall down the drain of a bathtub later, and it might go down the toilet. But while you have a chance, sign up. Go see a doctor. Go get tests. Go get your teeth fixed. Do it. So don't pay taxes, and definitely sign up for free healthcare.
Somebody also wrote in the chat line, it's somebody who goes by the name Max, says, leaves me speechless when people call Obamacare socialized medicine. Yeah, that's it really isn't socialized, because it's so connected to the insurance companies and Medicare and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody's still basically making being a corporation really about healthcare. I don't feel that that's anything that's any different. Although now it
believe that we didn't suddenly ambush America and become socialized. And I got an F in my political theory class. So I'm not the best on discussing the differences between capitalism and socialism and fascism and communism.
Uh-huh.
I gotta say, the insurance companies are still getting their money. Nobody is going broke on this. The doctors are still getting paid. The nurses are still getting paid. So I don't think that this is the ugly version of socialism that everybody is so scared of with Barack Obama. I really don't see him as very socialist. I still think it's very capitalistic. Maybe if we had like Canada's version, where nobody had to pay for it, then it would be socialized. But right now, people are still paying for it. Like, it's still, there are the unfortunate few that fortunate enough to make enough money that they will have to pay for their health care while others will get it for free. But to call it socialized, I think, is just barking up the wrong tree.
Dina, what are your thoughts on paying taxes?
Well, I wish we could all get together and tell the government we don't like what they're doing and not pay taxes. That would be a great thing. You know, if we all come together, like Jesse said, that will be the solution. I really dig what Jesse has to say, you know, as far as community and throw people at the problem, and everything could be solved by people come together. It's like being a union. You know, unions in New York are much stronger because they all come together and they get more money. But Obamacare is a way of controlling the people. You know, if you control their health, you control the people. And did you know in 1913 we had no federal taxes, and we still ran the government. We still had the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. You know, we still had roads paved. They paid no taxes in 1913. What started taxes? What do our taxes go to today? 100% of our tax money goes to the Federal Reserve. They started the IRS 100 years ago. Last year, 1913 is when they started the IRS. They created it to get money for themselves. All our tax dollars go to the interest that the Fed charges us. Did you know that, Terry?
Yeah, I did. I've been looking at what we're, why we have taxes, why we pay, federal income tax, all of those things, and and of course, yeah, it's all very
Hey,
suspect, and
I watched this video one time, and so the very first dollar that was ever given, right, from the Federal Reserve, it was given with interest on it. So we will give you $1 bill, but you owe us $1.05. And so then it's like, well, how do I pay back $1.05 when I only have a dollar? And the answer to that is borrow another dollar. So now you have $2 to pay back that $1.05, but you owe $2.10 now. And then so how do you pay that $2.10? And you borrow $3. It's absolutely maddening. That's why I'm a big advocate of the barter system and a big advocate of community things. And I heard what Dino said about Obamacare being a way to control us. Um, yes, yes, and no. Um, Regardless, go see a doctor. Go sign up. Go fix your teeth. You know, there's earthquakes in California right now. There's two 8.0s in Chile. Yellowstone has all the animals running from the park. All animals are leaving Yellowstone. We live in the Ring of Fire. I live in Portland, Oregon. Um, do not, whatever you do not go into the end of the world with a toothache. Sign up for healthcare. Sign up for healthcare. Get your stuff fixed. And
don't go to the FEMA camps with a toothache.
exactly. Because if we're triple bunk mates at the FEMA camp and you have a toothache, we're gonna say, bruh, do you even Obamacare? Like, like you really should. Just take advantage of it. Even though it might be this historical glitch in American history where we have this moment, but still, please, my friends, none of you are signed up for it. Nobody is signed up for it. It's free. Go get your teeth fixed. Go get that lump checked out. Go get a mammogram. Go see a doctor about those lumps on your shoulder. And I wasn't gonna say shoulder.
Your lower shoulder.
Your other shoulder.
The shoulder that hangs down a little ways.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure, just from the way that the world works, I'm pretty sure that America is getting hustled. I mean, that's the way our world works. Remember, everything that's up is down, everything that should be black is white, everything that should be white is black. So I'm sure that free healthcare is very sinister. Like there's nothing that comes out of our world these days that's not incredibly sinister. But just take advantage of it in that short moment that it's given to you.
Yes. One of the things that just dawned on me yesterday, because right now I'm living in Washington. I'm in Vancouver, Washington. So just like right over the border, we have taxes where Oregon doesn't have state taxes. And I started thinking about how they legalized marijuana and what states that marijuana got legalized in. And both states pay taxes. Colorado does, and Washington made a deal with paying taxes in terms of their sales of legal cannabis as well. And Oregon did not pass it. So, which makes me wonder if it's because of the fact that we don't have state taxes and they wouldn't have made that kind of money off of it.
Right. Washington is. I hate to say, Washington is better than us.
Really?
I mean, Washington has legalized pot. Washington has legalized same-sex marriages. Seattle is about to pass a $15 minimum wage. They're just better than us, and I don't get it. I don't know why, because we're better than them. Everybody who lives in Washington is a sucker. Sorry, sister. But, I lived in Seattle for a couple years. But they're just so progressive, and I don't get it. Like, we should be way more progressive than they are. There's no reason that I should have to go to Vancouver to do a same-sex marriage when I could just do it in Portland. So,
Yeah, it's kind of it's interesting because you would think that Portland would be a lot more progressive than it is in terms of what they voted for.
Portland is
We've got
fake.
the Potlandia. There's this whole stereotype of us being, granola eating, people that are into rights, and yet it seems like we're slow in actually implement them on some levels of legislature. But that didn't happen. I have to give you guys a huge round of applause, and the fact that fluoride did not was not put in the water, and that was because you guys did not allow it. And I really feel that there's a lot that does happen politically and in Portland, and I believe part of that reason is that the Portlandia people are awake and they're aware because their pineal gland has not been calcified by fluoride in their drinking water.
Absolutely. I'm not a scientist, but we are different here in Portland. You know, um, Portlandia though is weird. Portland is weird. I think that Portland might be the fakest city in the world. Like,
Oh no, not more fake than California. Come on.
no, see,
I think we trump that.
California knows they're fake. California knows they're fake and they live fake and they go to tanning booths. But Portland is fake. Portland is fake like they don't admit that they go to tanning booths. Portland doesn't admit that. Like Portland, okay, here's what I think about Portland. Portland is a city where everybody will call you on a racist or a homophobic statement um, that aren't even really racist or homophobic statements. But then when you go to a wedding at Portland, there's no colored people at the wedding. There's no people of color at your wedding. So you'll say all day, wow, that was racist, that was racist. Oh, that was homophobic. Oh, that's bad for the environment or whatever. But then when you go to that Portland people's house, they don't recycle. They don't have any friends that are gay. They don't have any friends that are black or Latino or Asian. Like Portland's fake. We're like Brainy Smurf on the Smurfs. All he would do is always say, "Papa Smurf always says," right? And he would lecture you. But he was the guy that was always screwing up. Like he was the biggest jerk on the Smurfs. And that's what Portland is. Portland is like this city full of brainy Smurfs. Like everybody wants to look to somebody else's dinner plate and comment on their food while they're eating fast food. Like Portland is like, and I'm gonna be the mayor, so I love you, Portland. We're gonna fix some serious problems. We're gonna fix some serious problems you got. And one of the main problems is we have a 2% vacancy rating, or a 2% vacancy percentage. Like, there's nowhere to live in Portland. There's nowhere to live because all these people watch Portlandia. They say, "Oh my gosh, that looks so awesome! I love bookstores. I love hummus. Oh, hummus. Portland's a city full of hummus and pita. Oh, let's be vegans. Oh,
And then drink our own brewed beer.
Yes,
Vegans, but the beer's there.
we do brew our own beer in Portland.
Yes.
There is beer.
Yeah.
I mean, Portland's a great city when you dig deep down into it. But when we're talking about like governmental things, like our city hall, our city leaders are so corrupt and so BS and such cronies, and there's like wide range nepotism. And when I say nepotism, I don't mean hiring your son. I mean hiring like your best friend and hiring this guy. And there's such a crossover between the public and the private sector. Like for example, our mayor Charlie Hales, in his free time, he sells streetcars. You know, like you know, or like CH2M Hill. They got the reservoir deals to repair our reservoirs, but that came from their relationship with our city commissioner Randy Leonard. You know, like Portland is dirty, Portland is racist, Portland is hypocritical, Portland is fake, Portland is the last people to get the trends. Like there's still people in Portland getting tribal tattoos right now. I love you, Portland, but you need to own your problems. You need to own your problems.
Dino, is it Dino Dad 32? Would you like to interject in this conversation? I feel you let me know that you had a few thoughts that you wanted to share.
Sorry, Dino.
No,
Oh, that's all right.
thank you. I'm here. The only thing I know about Portland is that my best friend Dan Pasternak produces the show Portlandia, and if it wasn't for that, I don't think we'd know about what's going on in Portland. But it's a really good show, and also I really
want you to know.
Wasn't he a comedian, Dan Pasternak?
Yeah, that's right. He was.
I know that name.
You know him. He's a great guy.
I probably met him. I have to look at his picture again, but I know of his name.
We got to talk about him off air.
Okay.
But, it's so true what Jesse has to say about healthcare. This is some kind of hustle. It's some kind of ruse. It's socialism, but there's money to be made in it, so it's capitalism. And also dig what he has to say about borrowing $1, now you owe me $1.05. We will never ever catch up on our debt that we have to the Federal Reserve. Do people know what the Federal Reserve is? All they do is take the money. They order the money. They are not a federal entity. They are a private bank. The Federal Reserve is a private bank that takes the money from the Treasury and distributes it to the banks at a 3% interest rate. And we don't even know what we owe them. I mean, this is crazy. Our great-great-grandchildren will never pay off that debt. It's a continuing debt that we will never, ever pay off. You know what the crazy thing is we're borrowing money from China just to pay off the debt that we have to the Federal Reserve. Is that insanity? What's the worst thing you can do personally in your finances? Is get a credit card and just pay the minimum on it. If you buy, say, a motorcycle for $1,000, in 18 years you're going to pay $10,000 or $9,000 for that motorcycle if you keep paying the minimum and not recharging things on your credit card. And that's what our government is doing right now. They're not even paying the interest on it. It's the worst way to run a personal finance or a business is to just pay the minimum on your debt and not even keep up with the minimum.
Dino, you're absolutely right. And here's the disgusting thing that's going to happen. So I don't know if everybody remembers, probably like 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, the term debt ceiling was really big. It was the new buzzword. Will Obama raise our debt ceiling another $1 trillion or whatever, right? So here's the deal. We owe China money. Now, how do we pay back that $1.05? We borrow more money from China, right? So let's take that balloon and let's float that balloon over here. And let's look at right now where that is going on in other places in the world. And so let's look at Europe right now, and specifically Greece. So Greece is in the same exact situation with Germany. So Germany's lent Greece a lot of money, and Greece can't pay it back, and so Greece keeps borrowing it. But then you come into what's called austerity, and austerity is when your lender becomes cautious about your borrowing status, right? So then the lender begins to implement policy changes within your municipality. Now, your municipality might be as big as Greece. It might be the United States. It might be the city of Portland's water. We borrowed a lot of money for these water projects, right? So it's on a small scale and it's on a big scale. It's a microcosm and a macrocosm. So austerity means that the lender begins to dictate the policy within your municipality. So, like in Greece, Germany started dictating things like a higher retirement age, a lower minimum wage. City workers they don't get paid vacations or whatever. And right now I'm just pulling all of those out of my back pocket because I don't have the exact details. But what happens is eventually you reach this point where the lender begins to dictate the terms of what the lendee or the borrower does with his money. And we're there in the United States right now. We're like right there on the edge of the precipice. We're tiptoeing the treacherous path between blasphemous and making sense to the rest of us, right? We're right there. And eventually things are going to start changing in this country. They're going to lead to riots. And I've always considered Greece to be our canary in the cave. So, the canary, when the canary runs out of oxygen, then everybody needs to get out of the cave. And right now, Greece's situation with Germany is very, very symbolic of our relationship with China. And things are going to change in this country. And I'm not an expert, but I know that in July, I think that our credit rating drops. And I've been hearing a lot of talk that it's going to lead to 25% inflation immediately, like overnight. 25% inflation. So just look to Greece for where we are going. I mean, in Greece they have police fighting firemen. Like it's dog eat dog. In the rest of the world and in America, we're insulated from it because we have such corrupt mainstream media that we'll never know the truth. And only through shows like Freedom of Joyce or Fight Church Radio, only through shows like this are we able to really reach out and talk about the real issues. I love you, Terry.
I love you too, Jesse. I love you too, Dino Dad 32. I mean, I feel that you're right. We are the media that is really telling the truth and covering real journalism. I don't. I and so hopefully we keep ourselves free and on the air, that the internet doesn't become controlled, and that we're not able to have these conversations like this. And again, this is the internet, so the world can listen to this. This show's going to be archived. I'm going to, social network it like crazy, make videos about it, blog about it, put it out there over and over again in various forms, just so that this information gets out to people. Mainly, I'm not saying that I know all the answers, but I'm certainly looking for them. And I feel that a lot now, some alternative programming is very fear mongering, fear based, and I feel that really is almost feeding into the reality in which we're being told. Basically, if you look at the dark cabal or the Illuminati, or the people in power who have the power that shouldn't be in the power, however, whatever you want to call them, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Zionists, Nazis, the name goes on and on about who these people might be. They. Oh, I have to go now. I rambled too long. I rambled way too long. All right, we'll be back with more Freedom of Joyce and more Jesse Spomberg and Dino Dad 32. What? Yeah.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
This is the people's war. It is passion throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me! Revolution Radio! Who knows what evil lurks in the halls of Washington? Well, that would be me, Wild Bill Samson, your host of the Samson Report. Join me for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup every Saturday night, right here on Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio. You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride, and they can bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it done. Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com. There is no good and evil. There is only power in those too weak to seek it. This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right. Be sure to tune in weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Strange Universe with Sean David Morton with a strange, interesting, and engaging wide variety of topics. So be here, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. I would like that they to review our strange giant. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hey. Hey, welcome to back to the Freedom of Joyce show on Revolution Radio, and we are listener supported. We are one of the #1 listener supported networks on the internet. So we are all 100% volunteers, and everybody who works here volunteers to work on Revolution Radio. So please do go to our website, keep us going, give us a donation, and we thank you already. Thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for doing this in the past and keeping us going. I love the hosts that are on the show. I listen to Revolution Radio all the time, and I love it. I was listening to Revolution Radio before I became a host on Revolution Radio, so I am a fan of Revolution Radio, and so please donate. Please donate to us to keep us to keep us going. Also, I want to give a little bit of a plug here. I'm Terry Joyce, and if you want to find me, I am on Facebook, and that's TEREJOYCE as my profile. Please like my Freedom of Joyce page as well on Facebook. Get involved that way. And you can also check out my blog. My new blog, it just went live. It's freedomofjoyce.net, and it is sponsored by the Liberty Beacon, which it is a worldwide network out there, the Liberty Beacon news media, as well as we've got one in the United States, there's one in Canada, and we're basically going global because the whole world now is wanting to wake up and unite underneath liberty. With me is Jesse Spomberg, activist, going to be mayor someday, and host of Fight Church TV and Fight Church Radio. I also have Dino Dad 32 with me, and you know what? Let's make sure that everybody gets their information out there for our listeners of where they can find you. I'll start with Dino Dad 32. Where can people find you?
Well, you can always find me at dinodad32.com or check out my YouTube page at dinodad32.com. I have some great videos on there about freedom and about many other things about gun rights. And, Terry, I have to commend you and Jesse again. It's very important what you guys are doing. You're going out there, you're occupying, you're making a difference. You're not sitting on the couch. You're not occupying the couch like the rest of us. And we should all be aware that Terry is really making a difference in this world. And so is this radio station. It's very important.
Oh, thank you very much. I actually was wanting to someday protest and take to the streets. I know that sounds kind of silly, but uh, as I realized what was going on and became more and more concerned about what's been happening in this country and our rights and first it started out with me with what was going on with marijuana, and then I became involved in a bunch of other things. I was happy. I don't know. I felt a sense of happiness that people were taking to the streets and they were occupying. And it wasn't just the United States, it was global. And my feeling about it, like, it seems like now, like, people go, oh, occupy, and they have all these opinions, and, they listen to what they read in the papers about us, or that we're these, hippie, low-life people that don't have any jobs, and blah, 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 blah. Everything that the mainstream media wanted to paint us out to be. But I'll tell you something. Now everybody knows that a 1% exists. And if that's the one thing that we've accomplished, then I feel that it was worth it. And then from there, it's whatever happens after that. What are your thoughts about that, on Jesse? And also, I want to make sure you plug everything.
Okay, let me plug stuff.
Okay.
You can follow me on Twitter, Ozone2016, and I'm not going to be the mayor someday. We just hit April, so that means we have 29 months left until the next election in Portland, which I'll be the mayor of. It's really interesting that you bring up Occupy, because since I just relaunched the Fight Church radio show, I had old episodes still saved in my archive, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I had Fight Church Radio in 2011, and there are episodes leading up to Occupy where we discuss what it might be, what it could be, what hopefully it will be, and we discussed like what things to put in your backpack, and we did that, and then there was a 5-day break in my show because down at Occupy I couldn't get enough electricity. I was actually really busy. I didn't have phone battery, and we all had to share a Wi-Fi signal, so the show stopped for 5 days. Then on my 6th day, the 6th day of Occupy Portland, I went back to my house and I took a shower. It was my first shower of Occupy. So it was day 6. I showered, and then I launched a radio show. And what was awesome is I just listened to it yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. So I listened to my show, and the point that I made about Occupy was it was a giant intervention. Okay? It was a giant intervention on your Uncle Sam. And it was weird because it really resonates with a lot of the things we were talking about with Fight Church. So Uncle Sam has a problem. Uncle Sam has a serious problem. He's addicted to oil, he's addicted to money, and it's affecting everybody. So just like if in your family, say your father was an alcoholic, right? Now his alcoholism reflects on everybody. His alcoholism manifests itself in his son's life as not having a good relationship with his son. It manifests itself in his wife's life by not being a good husband. You know, it manifests itself in his daughter's life by not trusting his daughter, right? Now, all those things can be traced back to the dad's alcoholism. So when you take that comparison and you apply it to what Occupy did, it was a giant intervention on Uncle Sam. We said, Sam, we understand that you're addicted to oil. Sam, we understand that you're addicted to war. Sam, we understand that you're addicted to money. And we all need to have a giant sit down, Sam, and we need to talk about this. Now, when people talk about the failings of Occupy, that's like talking about the failings of an intervention. You know, an intervention isn't supposed to last for 100 years. You know, an intervention is supposed to last for a small amount of time, and then everybody moves on and grows and develops and creates things. And that's what we've done with Occupy, and that's what you should do with the intervention. You shouldn't sit in that room and just yell at the dad all day for being an alcoholic. Eventually, everybody needs to get up, get out that room, and figure out what they're going to do next. And the things that the what we're doing next that has grown from Occupy is incredible. Like, seriously, first of all, we completely changed the world dialogue. The world's dialogue. Like you said, Terry, the 1% is now well known, and it's part of our vernacular. We all understand that 1% is the root of our problem. And that alone is monumental. That's humongous. If we never accomplished anything in the world besides adding 1% to our dialogue, then we've won. I mean, really, because that's where it starts. You have to identify a problem, and then everything that grows from that. For example, my buddy Nick Caleb. My buddy Nick Caleb is running for Portland City Council right now on the $15 minimum wage platform. And do you think that would have happened without Occupy? Fight Church, that wouldn't have happened. Our Fight Church radio probably wouldn't have happened. Well, actually, it happened before Occupy. But the movement wouldn't have happened. All these people getting together, protesting Fubon, protesting coal, all that stuff, that would have never happened. You know, when Barack Obama, you know, in the old days, when George Bush was our president, Portland was known as Little Beirut because things would get so crazy in Portland, and the Democrats would take the streets, and people would riot, and we would have WTO riots in Seattle, and we would have all this crazy stuff happening, and then all of a sudden the Democrats won, and everybody just became passive. They don't take the streets. They're just happy, and they just become Obama apologists. But in the old days, Portland was crazy, and so what we would like to do is like rekindle that spirit, that revolutionary spirit, because you know, just like Dino said a minute ago, you know, he said the unions were big because people would come out, and he said people would support each other, and people would take the streets, and now that's like what we've become now. Sorry, I'm probably rambling.
No, you're not. No, you said it, everything sounds great. I just I love what you're saying, and I wanted there's a more that I just want to get and ask you about in just a moment. I do want to. I think Dino actually he sent a message through to me through the Skype bar here. You'd like to make a comment on some of what Jesse is saying?
Yes, Jesse, we're digging what you're saying, man. You're not rambling. We're with you, man. You're absolutely right. You know, our father, our government, our country is addicted. They have a problem. And the decisions that they make affect it all. And we will pay for those decisions. When the S hits the fan, it's us that are going to pay for it. And it's not the rich people, and it's not the government. It's the middle people that's going to pay for it, and they will be hurting. And they will be hurting really bad when the chickens come to roost. I love that expression, when the chickens come to roost. They kept using that in the movie, Wolf of Wall Street, because they couldn't keep going with this huge money spending and illegal activity forever. One day the chickens are going to come to roost, and that's what's going to happen with this country. The chickens are going to come to roost. Things are going to change, and it's going to hurt us all bad. We can't keep spending all this money and not paying it back and not affect us. It's going to affect us, and it's going to affect us in a bad way. We're not going to live the way we are living today, don't you think, Jesse?
You know, that's really scary to me. I've avoided watching The Wolf of Wall Street because I don't want to glorify those kind of bastards. But I do understand the point of that movie, and the chickens I would say are already kind of coming home to roost. And I don't have an exact a source for this, but I see the meme being thrown around a lot on the interwebs that for every homeless person in this country, there are 24 vacant houses. Now, where I live right now in my house, I'm actually looking at being, my house has already been foreclosed on. It's not my house, we just rent it. But it's already been foreclosed on, and I'm just waiting for the police to show up and tell us it's time for us to be homeless. And then when I look out my window, no lie, from my window, I can see 3 foreclosed houses. And in this country, I do a lot of housing liberation. Props to Alicia Jackson, who still doesn't have her water on, but we've managed to keep her house for 2 years now. The chickens are already coming home. I look up and down my street, and I see vacant houses, and I see houses for sale that nobody's buying. And I see the stat that there's 24 houses for every homeless person. You know, Portland has a lot of homeless people, but we have way more vacant houses than homeless people. Like, there's no way you couldn't walk around Portland and you couldn't spend 5 minutes walking anywhere in Portland and not see these empty buildings and these empty houses and think what could be done of them. Because see, here's the thing: the bank doesn't give a crap whether or not somebody lives in that house. That house is an asset to that bank. That house is a numerical figure on a piece of paper that can be used to secure more loans. These are our investments. This is what we own. We own X amount of properties. We own X amount of rentals. We own X amount of houses. So give us another loan. But the bank itself doesn't really care if there's people living in those houses. And that's why I encourage every single person in Portland to go kick the front door down on your abandoned house. And when the sheriff comes, you remind that sheriff that this is an election year. And you remind the sheriff the power of the community. And you tell that sheriff to go the hell away. And you tell that sheriff that if he tries to take your house, you're going to throw numbers at it. You're going to use the Fight Church model. And you're going to put so many people in that front yard that it will become worldwide news. Like, that's what you have to do. You can't continue to let these bullies and these bad mismanagers of money and these bad decision makers, you cannot let these people dictate your life. And sometimes I hate to say it, but I really root for a terrible earthquake, because what I root for is a total reshuffling of our societal structure. You know, because what we have right now, let me tell you something about Portland. So here's how Portland came to be, and here's how Oregon came to be. There was unknown Native American territory, right? A bunch of rich people from the East Coast put out claims. And then you could, if you moved to Oregon, you could get a free homestead. We would give you land, we would set up a homestead for you, and it would be yours and you would own it. But, of course, cash rules everything around me. So money touches everything. And then what these big East Coast barons did, these people with a lot of money, is they would set up these fake accounts. And they would pay you money just to say that you moved to Oregon. You never even moved to Oregon. They would set up this fake account with hundreds and hundreds of people. And they would all homestead, like theoretically homestead, but there was nobody really there. And these giant barons would own these gigantic plots of Oregon. So when people think about moving west, and they think about the pioneer spirit and the Oregon Trail, that's not really the way it works, Like, if you came on the Oregon Trail, you show up here poor, and you might have got a little chunk of land. But in the meantime, those wealthy oil barons and the steel barons and the railroad barons, those people just came and bought everything up. That's why when you drive through Central Oregon, there will really be a dude that owns 10,000 acres right in the middle. And you will drive right through his property. The highway will go right through it. Dude owns everything on the left. Dude owns everything on the right. And that's not the way it should be. And then let's take that, go further back. Let's take that microcosm of Oregon and turn it into the macrocosm of America. Do you know how America got settled? Okay, so everybody knows the story of Pocahontas, right? And on the cartoon, Pocahontas and John Smith were in love, right? Okay, so John Smith was one of the first people to colonize Virginia, right? Those guys were gonna die. Like, if Chief Powhatan and the Algonquian Indians didn't help those guys, right? And they only helped them because Pocahontas was like, oh, I love John Smith. So they helped them survive that winter in the 1600s, right? If they would have let those white men die, then things would be, I don't know how different, but they would be a little different. Then, fast forward to the next spring, a man named John Rolfe moved in. R-O-L-F-E, John Rolfe. You should look him up. I think he's in Pocahontas 2, the Disney movie, right? I'd love to see Pocahontas 2. So John Rolfe came, and he was a tobacco merchant. And he learned about the Haitian tobacco, the tobacco that comes from the Caribbean. And it was way better than everything that had been grown in the United States, right? So he used his influence in Europe to get a bunch of money to buy all those tobacco crops from the Caribbean. And then he instituted that into America, and he created the plantation system, which created the need for slavery, which created this whole paradigm that we live in right now. If somebody would have let John Smith starve, and if somebody would have cut John Rolfe's throat, then we would live in a whole different world. And now going back to the microcosm of Portland, if we would have cut those oil barons' throats, and we would have cut those steel barons' throats, and we would have cut the timber and railroad barons' throats, then Portland will be a whole different place. And maybe there'll be some equality. But right now, like, we live in this crazy racist, super racist state. And that's because the legend of westward expansion is really just a legend. The truth to it is man, it's so hard not to swear sometimes.
Well, Jesse, I want to bring up something. I mean, I find it interesting that there's those underground places. You can do that underground tour in Portland where people would be like, I guess, drinking and partying or whatever, and all of a sudden the bottom would drop out and they were taken into human trafficking.
Yep. Weirdly, oddly enough, I'm actually expert on that too. I mean, it's Portland. So you're talking about the Shanghai tunnels.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. That is kind of an urban legend.
Oh, it is?
I mean, okay, people did get technically Shanghai from Portland.
Uh-huh.
And people did get slaveried on the boats. But a lot of that underground stuff was mostly used for commerce. So I've been on the tour. The guy's name, I think, is Michael. He runs it for Mount Hood something or other tours. They charge a ton of money to go on that. And you have to book your own tour, so you have to bring like 20 people with you. And they all pay like $20. Yeah, they make a lot of money. That's a scam. That's a scam.
Okay, so that's not the...
You know what they do there? You stay in the basement of one building, and they put up, you know how when you go to the bank, they have those ropes so that you have to keep walking back and forth before you see the teller? Or when you go to Disneyland, they have those VIP ropes, so you have to keep walking back. That's what they do in the Shanghai Tunnel tour, but they do it with bookshelves. So it seems like you're going a long way, but you never leave the basement of a spot. So here's the truth, is that there are tunnels underground. There is an extensive underground tunnel system in Portland. But to tie it to Bunko Kelly and to tie it to Shanghai is a little overdoing it, and it's a little sensationalizing it. But,
Okay.
But there are extensive tunnels, especially Kenton. You should go to the wonderful Kenton neighborhood, and where the Paul Bunyan is. I call it Bob's Big Boy. I'm so old. Where the Paul Bunyan statue is. Go to the Kenton neighborhood. They all have underground too, going right out to the rivers. There's underground all through North Portland. There's underground all through Southwest Portland, but it's kind of fake.
Jesse, I want to go through, again, I want to go back a little bit to Fight Church TV. How long have you been doing Fight Church?
Um, so Fight Church Television
Uh-huh.
just celebrated its first anniversary in February. We started in February, and now we're going into April. And for those who don't know what Fight Church Television is, it's basically a local version of the Tonight Show with me, um, being Johnny Carson.
Yes.
I'm a SWAT team Johnny Carson. You know? But I play the role of Johnny Carson, and then instead of famous actors and actresses like Johnny Carson would have, I put on activists, entrepreneurs, political candidates, people that are relevant in the news. Like if you're on the news and I think I can help you, then we put you on the show. For example, the two girls that got kicked out of the cab for kissing, or the dog that got its head cracked by the animal control officer, the OG. Like, I help those people. So what we do is we do like the Tonight Show, and then every episode has a local musician and a local paid comedian. We're not talking hacks. We're talking people that make a living by doing comedy. So we bring you the best and brightest of Portland in front of a live audience. We do it in a bar, so everybody in our audience is nice and drunk. And I'm usually pretty sauced myself, which just makes for more realistic and more honest interviews, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then the real.
I even did it. I did a dab on your show, actually.
Yes, you actually did a live dab on the show.
I did.
Yes, that was awesome. We love having you on the show, Terry.
I love being on the show.
But the thing about the show is that the show is an illusion. The show is a trick. The show is a spider web to trick other people who are awesome into coming, right? So then all those awesome people cross-pollinate. They all make friends with each other. They say, I do X, I need to plug in A. Somebody else says, wow, I do X, I need to plug in B. I could plug in your A if you plug in my B. And then, that sounded like a euphemism totally, but it's not. It's not, I promise. So what happens is, all of a sudden my comedian meets a DJ. All of a sudden my rapper meets an activist. I mean, I'm sure activists have to be tired of asking Mike Crenshaw to do every activist show. Surely there must be other rappers you activists know. But they don't. So what Fight Church does is it puts activists, hip-hoppers, DJs, comedians, like-minded visionaries. It puts us all in the same room, and we just work it out, Like I don't know if you've ever been in county jail, but if you've ever been in county jail, you start out with strangers, and then after a week, you make best friends, and that's because of the necessity of the situation. And so I really subscribe to that viewpoint and that model, and that's like, there's no such thing as strangers. There's only friends that you haven't met yet,
You were a rapper yourself.
I was a rapper myself. I still am. I can still beat any rapper in Portland.
Absolutely. You're still a rapper.
The thing is, though, is the world doesn't need any more rappers, man. Especially not one that's turned 40 years old. So, but there's a lot of transferable skills, If you can make that kind of music and you can be a rapper and you can do all the hard things that are involved in the music business, those are transferable skills that you could use to community organizing, guerrilla marketing, flyering, postering, Facebooking. Those are all things that can switch up. So while I am still completely 100% a rapper until I die, my music career is kind of on hold while I run for mayor, because all those things that I learned from music are what's going to get me elected in mayor. Like, are you serious? Like, that dude's really gonna, have a debate against me? You're not gonna debate a rapper. Who debates a rapper? Like, your words don't even rhyme. And I don't even have to rhyme my words. So you'll get crushed in any situation. And Fight Church really, hip-hop is more than just... Hip-hop is a culture. It's an idea. It's take the streets. It's F your couch. Just like Dean was saying, F your couch, forget your couch. Go out, take the streets. fight the power. You know, and when we come back from this commercial break, I would really actually like to talk about the state of hip hop and how it compares to what Constantine did to Christianity. You know, because Constantine gave money to Christianity and killed it. Uncle Sam has Ice Cube in movies where Ice Cube is a cop. Ice T has a television show where he's a cop. So when we come back, I would totally like to talk about that.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce. Love you too. We'll be right back.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
We're in a narco-syndicalist commune. We're taking in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a two-thirds majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard. You've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look. It is a flesh wound. And I believe I'm such a display of courage, skill, nerve grace, stupidity. I'll do you for that. What? Come here. What are you going to do? Bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. A black knight always triumphs. Roundtable Live Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Hey folks, you got the night off here. Do you have a favorite host? Well, imagine you will have all the broadcast shows from 2013 to listen to anytime you want. Awesome deal, huh? Anyway, so stop by freedomslips.com and order the entire 2013 library of your favorite host for just $30. Not only do you help with the station funding to keep us on the air, you also help the host because they get half of the net on every order. Also, we have Revolution Radio's all-time favorite shows all on one disc. The details are really broad, so you'll have to visit the website and go look at the details yourself. It's, again, www.freedomslips.com/season 2013.htm. And get your favorites. First come, first serve, 7 to 21 days for delivery. Thank you. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps, including me, Xavier. We've got to stop them! They're going to kill us all! Enjoy your extra biggest fries.
Give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another? Extra biggest fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is zero. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you had
Come
a trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas and freedom of speech. Above all, we believe in freedom of existence and self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported and has a fundraising promotion by having a kick-ass free gift of a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if the prices go crazy, it's the fan, or you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at Freedom freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves, not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website, all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seat in the seat.
What are we doing live? This goes in eternity.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Why, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the round of applause. This is Terry Joyce. We're in the last half hour of Freedom of Joyce. And before I go on, I do want to take a moment to let our listeners know that one of my guests that I had on February 28th, his name is Ronnie Smith. He was the activist for cannabis oil, has unfortunately passed away. As a matter of fact, he passed away, I believe, last night. And so he was very much a freedom fighter for cannabis oil in curing cancer, and he's helped so many people with many different diseases, and it is a shock. But his leukemia did come back. He says that he was not taking his daily maintenance like he should have been, and it did return. And so I just want to let him know. I'm pretty sure he's out there. That he did some really great work here on while he was alive, and he was a beacon of light of information, and his work, what he's done for others, has not gone unnoticed. And so I just wanted to say that. With me is Jesse Spomberg from Fight Church TV and Dino Dad 32. We're having a really great Friday. Now we are officially on the Pacific Coast in our afternoon now. But it's great to be chatting with you guys today. And Dino, you had a comment that you wanted to make on what Jesse was talking about. What would you like to share with us?
Yes, Jesse, we did what you have to say. I'm sorry, my microphone is kind of doing some funny stuff right now. We did what you have to say, Jesse. We need to reshuffle society, as you said. Don't feel bad that you want a catastrophic event to change the world. That's what we're going to need. That's what's going to happen for change, something catastrophic. And it's going to come. It's on the horizon. Just like on The Wolf of Wall Street that I said. And Jesse, please go see that movie. It's about how things can't last forever the way they are.
I'll put it on my list.
That's what our society is. It's corrupt and it can't last. So watch The Wolf of Wall Street.
Wait till it comes out on Redbox. Is it already there?
Occupy My Couch. I started the movement Occupy My Couch on my YouTube channel. Go see my video on Dino Dad 32 on YouTube on Occupy My Couch. And the point of Occupy My Couch is that it's just easier when we all just sit on the couch and do nothing and not care about what the government is doing to us, how big money corporations are killing us. There are people in this world that are making a difference. They're doing something, like Terry and Jesse out there, and the rest of us are all just sitting on our couch and doing nothing.
Well, that's not true about you, Dino. Come on. You're making.
The point is that most of us are sitting on our couch and not doing anything. I do my little bit on YouTube and try to point out hypocrisy in government and what's going on. I don't know how much difference I'm making, when you physically put your body out there and say, hey, we've had enough, you're making a big difference, and we appreciate that. And we should all do that. We should all say, as the movie said, I am mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. You remember that movie, Terry?
Yeah, I do. That's how old I am. But thanks, Dino.
Oh, I don't know
That's an
what movie
important
that is.
point.
What were you gonna say, Jesse?
I don't know what movie that is. What movie is that?
Oh, that's a movie called Network, and it was basically about the corruption of of our media.
Oh,
And
you know what? I've seen that.
oh, you got to rent that one. That's a classic.
Yeah, I just remember one scene where like the guy kisses a girl and touches her boobs.
Oh well.
Yeah, I remember that scene too. That was a great scene. I swear. Faye Dunaway, when she did that orgasm in about 2 minutes, I was like, wow, that was a great scene.
Hey, you really made a good point though, Dino. Like, I mean, occupying your couch is very, very powerful. Like, there's a lot that we can get done. People don't understand. They're like, Jesse, you've been sitting on the couch for 8 hours. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've gotten so much done. Like, people don't understand how much you can actually get done from your couch. But, and like Pee Wee Herman say, everybody I know has a big butt. Um, you really have to put your feet in the streets, man. You really have to throw your body at problems. And the press releases get written on the couch. The promotion gets written on the couch. The graphic work gets done on the couch. The flyer gets made on the couch. The sharing of the event gets done on the couch. But when it all really boils down to it, you have to put your ass in the streets, man. Like, I mean, you have to. You have to. Or they don't care, or my favorite saying, which is funny because you have Occupy Your Couch, my favorite saying is F your couch. And it's not F. I actually write the whole word out.
The PH word.
The PH word, your couch. And I really think that is just huge, and so many times I just lend my body to things, I will go to events that I didn't have any part in planning, and I will go to events that I don't even really like give a crap about, but I will throw my body at it because I know that's important. And numbers in the streets. And here's the thing: is I'm a big like shut stuff down is my biggest thing. Like, that's where I get my biggest adrenaline high. That's where I get my biggest sensation of accomplishment. That's where I get my feeling that I'm actually contributing to the world. Is when I stop your traffic and I walk down the middle of your street with a bullhorn. And I don't care who you are or what you're doing. You are going to stop and you're going to ask what I'm doing. And that's like the biggest thing that I can contribute to the world is my feet.
Jesse, you wanted to go into talking about rapping and iced tea.
Oh,
I want to
yes.
remind you on that.
I wanted to draw the parallel between modern day hip hop as a movement and Christianity as a movement. Okay, so in the old days, the Roman Empire was crumbling, right? They elected a new emperor. His name was Constantine. What Constantine did was he moved the capital from Rome. He moved the capital of the Roman Empire to what at that time was called Byzantium, and then he changed the name to Constantinople, and now it's called Istanbul. But at the time when he made it called Constantinople, it was the center of the Holy Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
But the Holy Roman Empire was not holy yet. It was just the Roman Empire, and it was feeling immense pressure from fringe groups known as the Christians, right? And they were the modern day occupiers, right? They were the modern day hip hoppers. They were the counterculture. They were the voice of the revolution, and they were rapidly increasing on Rome, right? And the Roman Empire was about to fall. The Roman Empire was about to fall to the point that they were hiring barbarians to help guard them. So imagine these fancy, rich Romans sitting around a campfire with these barbarians and these Germanians and these crazy people around this campfire going, I hate these people. But we have to make friends because they're protecting us from the Christians. Now the Christians at that time, I like to draw the parallel because I think that the Christians of that time were very much like the hip hop community of 1990s. Okay, so we had songs like Cop Killer, we had songs like Fight the Power, we had songs like F the Police, and all of those were rallying cries to a community, a community that really accepted that, and it really drew into that. Okay, so now those three songs that I bring up are very important because those three songs are the crux of this point. So let's restate them again: Cop Killer, Fight the Power, and F the Police. Now, what Constantine did to the Christians is all of a sudden one day on the battlefield, Constantine saw a vision of the cross, and it helped him win a battle. And Constantine came back and said, I'm a Christian. So what Constantine ended up doing was giving a bunch of money to the Christians, right? He said, hey, Christians, you're outcasts, you're occupiers, you're hip-hop heads, but suddenly I embrace you. Suddenly I love you guys, and I'm going to give you a bunch of money. And so he built them churches, big, beautiful churches with stained glass and beautiful frescoes. And he threw a bunch of money at them, right? Now tell me this. If you're a Christian and you're a counterculturalist, and Constantine just built you a church, and Constantine just gave you the most beautiful stained glass that you've ever seen in your life, are you still going to continue to say bad things about Rome? Are you still going to say bad things about Catholics? Are you still going to try to overthrow the Roman Empire? No. You're going to take your newfound castle and your newfound church and your newfound wealth, and you're going to shut the hell up. Now, let's fast forward to modern day hip-hop, which parallels it incredibly. So, now we have these counterculturists: Cop Killer, Ice-T; Fight the Power, Chuck D and Flavor Flav; and then F the Police, Ice Cube and NWA. Now, where are those three artists right now? I will tell you where those three artists are right now. Ice-T currently has a primetime television show where he is a cop. I don't know what it is. I don't watch television. But Ice-T is a cop. Flavor Flav was given his own reality dating show called Flavor of Love, which totally made him like just the most disgusting person ever, right? And then Ice Cube, who wrote F the Police, Ice Cube now has movies out where he plays the police. And in Ice Cube's last two movies, Are We There Yet and Are We There Yet 2, he's the most passive, crappy step-parent ever. They've all managed to trivialize themselves. Now, how did they trivialize themselves? They trivialized themselves by accepting money from Constantine. Now, while that money might have come from the Koch brothers or NBC or CBS or Viacom or Time Warner, wherever the money came, that is still the same exact money as Constantine. That is, what you've done is you've neutered a movement by dumping money into it. That's why hip-hop is so crap right now. That's why Kanye West wears a dress. That's why Lil Wayne is famous even though he's garbage. That's why all these garbage artists are famous, is because they used the Constantine model and they dumped all this money into hip-hop. I'm sorry, I'm rambling again.
No, I don't think you're rambling. I agree with you. I feel that there's a lot of artists that sell out, in show business. We do, and it has been done before, and it really takes more courage to say, no, you know what, I'm not going to play your game, and I'm going to stay true to the voice of why I'm doing this. I feel like a lot of performers and artists lose touch about what their words and the ability of their words can actually do for people, so they sell out to the corporation.
Man, super props to artists like Mortal Technique, Brown Caesar, Thief Sicario, The Resistance, the people that are still making revolutionary music, because it's so easy to sell out. I mean, all of a sudden Ice Cube went from F the Police to you can do it, put your back into it. You can do it, put your back into it. That's garbage, and that's why Ice Cube has no respect. Ice Cube had a sitcom on TBS And I always describe that as the day that Ice Cube went from being a Black Panther to the Pink Panther. You know, and we just have to maintain and not sell out. And the lure of money. I mean, I sell advertising. I understand about selling out a little bit, but you really have to. It's just so important to keep it real.
Well, you don't let the advertisers control you, and that's one of the things that perhaps we can get a grip on with alt media, is that when we do have advertisers on our blogs or on our networks or however, that we're staying pure to what the message is and not allowing somebody's dollars dictate what you're going to do. I mean, you described about how we have these countries like basically Germany is bailing out Greece and China's bailing out us. It's always the person that bails out or has the control of your money that's going to dictate, what you decide to say or not say. And the real, first of all, like, yeah, our free speech is being compromised, but also we're compromising ourselves by those who have exercised free speech, and then we sell out with money. One of the things that I mean, do you feel that that this could happen? Could this have happened to the Occupy movement? Let's say with George Soros or something like that begins to back the movement, and then we just become sort of this watered down Tea Party.
Yeah, it kind of did happen to the Occupy movement, and you don't need like there's a lot of things that can substitute for money, and ideology is one of the things that can substitute for money, and people's weird ideologies and people's weird co-opting of the movement. Um, you know what? I'm just gonna change that subject. Like, I'm just gonna leave that alone because I don't want to go there.
Okay, well, we can definitely change the subject. We don't really have a whole lot of time here, and
Can
so
I plug some stuff real quick?
yeah, absolutely. Let's plug some stuff.
Okay, so Fight Church Television is live every Monday night in Portland, Oregon. You can watch it at Ustream .tv/channel/ Fight Church Television. It should be easy to search. Fight Church Radio is available on the Blog Talk Radio Network and available through my website at fightchurchpdx.com. I really encourage you guys to go to fightchurchpdx.com and check out everything we have going on. There's so much we have going on. Also, Food Wars 4. No, Food Wars 4. Food Wars 7. a little late. Food Wars 7 will be May 31st at the Bossa Nova Ballroom in Portland. And I'm really excited to announce that before Food Wars 7, we'll be having what's called the Art of War. And the Art of War is a community art gallery, art show, where all the art there is only available to buy via canned food. So you have to show up at the event with canned food, and we will write you a little credit voucher, and then you will go upstairs and you will shop around for art with your credit voucher. But there is no money accepted. There's no Bitcoin accepted, no Dogecoin accepted. You will have to bring only canned food, and all the canned food raised through the Food Wars campaign and the Fight Church campaign will go to Impact Northwest, and will go to their Sun School program for the Backpack Buddies program, and that directly targets childhood hunger in the classroom and food insecurities. And over the last 6 years, we've raised like 30 or 40,000 cans of food for those kids. Then July 25th through 27th, we have Fight Church Sucker Free Summer Camp for adults and grown folks. And what that is, it's a camp out, a private camp out at John Neal Memorial Park, only for the 100 most Fight Churchy people. So, guests, audience members, participatory people, we will be out there for 3 days, camping, drinking, smoking, swimming, hiking, rafting. We'll be doing everything awesome in the woods, but with all the awesome people in the city. Then
I'm going to that, by the way.
Yes, you are. You better go to that. Then that same week, that Sunday, I'll be going home early so that I can attend the Big Float 4. And the Big Float is an awareness campaign for the Willamette River. Like, a lot of people think that the Willamette River is really polluted. And over the last couple months, I've really got a lot of education, meeting with people from the EPA and DEQ and stuff like that, and the Human Access Project and the River Keepers. Um, the Willamette River is not that polluted. Like, it's super polluted north of the Fremont Bridge, but those kind of pollutants, the PCBs and the heavy minerals and the heavy pollutants, those are called hydrophobic. So they're scared of water. So they don't float around in the water. What they do is they sink down to the soil underneath the water, and they sit there, and they don't go anywhere. So if you go north of the Fremont Bridge, it's super fun, and it's incredibly polluted. But if you go south of the Fremont Bridge, for example, all the beaches that are being built, Waterfront Park and under the Hawthorne Bridge, and all these awesome things that the Human Access Project is doing, that water's clean. And like while the Clackamas River hits like a 92 for cleanliness, the Willamette River hits like an 87 or an 86. So you absolutely right now can swim in the Willamette River. So what we're trying to do through the Big Float project is we're trying to reconcile our relationship with the long polluted river by having a big float that goes from east to west across the river with a big party with bands on a barge, food carts, beer vendors. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And then in August, towards the end of August, I still haven't set a date yet, we'll be having Hot Nights Warm Coats #7, which is a community barbecue. It's very well attended, and what we're trying to do there is to raise coats, gently used school coats for kids that might be going to school with a bad coat, because it's a strong belief at Fight Church that your self-esteem directly relates to your productivity. So all these kids that go to school with these crappy coats, they get shunned and they get outcasted, and they end up spending their time in the parking lot with the kids who smoke and the kids who do drugs. And what we want to do is we want to raise coats for these kids to be like a suit of armor. Like, a kid, I just gave you a coat that is so awesome you can wear it every day to every class, through every one of your trials and every one of your hardships and every one of your tribulations. You can wear that coat, and you can get an education, and you can grow up, and you can save the world just with that coat, because that creates a suit of armor for those kids.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Dino wants to add in a few minutes.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Dino, do you want to give your website out one more time for the listeners?
Well, you know something, I feel so bad. Jesse's doing so much, and my biggest accomplishment last year is I pulled a scab off my leg all in one piece. And you're doing so much, and I hate it. But you're doing so much that's you should be so proud. And you're doing F the couch. My whole thing about occupying my couch was that so few of us are doing anything. And you're right. Put your body out there and changes things.
Shoot. DinoDad32.com. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being here, and also for DinoDad32.
I'm an enigma.
He's an enigma. And when are you going to be the mayor?
2016 November, 29 months.
All right.
Go to vote, Portland.
Hey, Jesse.
Yes, sir.
We on the air?
Yeah, I'm here.
It really was a pleasure to talk to you. You're absolutely right. Putting like-minded people together, I've learned a lot from you. Man, and it's really cool. And that's, put your body out there and check out my website and my Occupy My Couch video.
Yeah, are you on Facebook? You want to be Facebook friends?
Yeah. You want to, I'm under Facebook on my real name. I hope this is not on the air. Are we on the air, Terry?
No, we're not. We're off the air now.
Okay, so I could talk. I hope I didn't, come in too early.
No.
My wife always tells me I do that. Anyway, if I remember that far back, it's been a long time. I've been married for 15 years, So anyway, Facebook friendly at my real name. You ready?
I'm typing it right now.
Well, hold on 1 second. I think I'm getting a call from
You don't know your fucking real name, man?
Hello? He's broken his arm before. Let me go down and I'll pick him up in 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dino.
Yeah, my son broke his arm again.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, well, anyways.
I love how nonchalant you were. Like, yeah, he's done it before.
That's you got to be as a parent. You know, that's being a real parent. When your son comes up to you and says, I think I have a hairline fracture of my tibia, I go, well, you should know. Okay, let's go to the doctor. And that's why my wife broke her arm 8 times. So we're arm breakers. I've never broken anything. So I got to rush to school with another broken arm. But please, Facebook friendly, we'll talk again. You always have the best guests, Terry. It's great to talk to you. I want to get into the 3%, but my point of the couch is that so few of us are doing and making a difference like you guys. And write this name down. It's a crazy name. That's why I don't use it. My real name is Milan Rokak. You can find me on Facebook at Milan. Last name is Rokak, Rokac. And you're going to be Jesse, I guess.
Got you. You're in the Marines?
Yeah, I was in the Marines for 6 years. How'd you know that?
Done deal.
How'd you know that?
All right, send my prayer request, brother. Hey, thank you, Terry, so much.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. I'll have this, I'll edit some of this footage that I've been live streaming, and then I'll have the actual radio broadcast. I make a YouTube video over the weekend, so I'll make sure that you have all those links.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back anytime you want me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have you back. I don't even think we even scratched the surface of what we could actually talk about.
We talked just about random shit. We didn't even talk
It was
about
a great show. It was a really good show, though.
You know it's a good show when 2 hours moves that fast.
That's true. That's
Always
true.
Does. Always
I
does.
love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
I love
Jesse.
you, Terry. You're beautiful.
I love you
I'm
too.
going to send you a link here. And Jesse, please check out my YouTube channel and leave a comment.
I will for sure.
And
Thanks, buddy. You did great today. I really, really appreciate it.
thank you, Dino. Thank you for being on the show
I'm
too.
sending you a link right now, then I got to rush down and deal with the broken arm again.
Okay.
There's a link on the bottom. I don't know if you can both see it. Check out this link. It's the new trailer I made for my YouTube channel. I think it really tells most of what's on my YouTube channel. So you see the link?
Yeah.
You both see it. It's there now.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Cool. I gotta go.
Bye, you guys.
Love you, Terry. You're beautiful. Can't wait to do it again. Send me what you need, and
Oh.
we'll talk soon.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night, you guys. Goodbye. It's not nighttime.